Welcome everybody to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate our favorites in TV and film. I am your host Xavier, and once again, we are back with a full house of the Popcorn Watchlist panelists, including Danny, Anthony, and Zach. Welcome back, Zach.
I am back. I feel much better.
Yay. Zach is not dead, thankfully, which is funny because talking about themes of things being dead, we're going right in from our last week's episode into Beetlejuice's sequel, Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. And crap, I just said his name 3 times.
What a name for a sequel.
Yeah, right?
So have to make a third one?
They have to.
Is
It really is just going to be Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So I said it 3 times again. Now I've
You
negated it. Yeah, I've negated it.
Nice.
We're good.
That was home.
Yeah.
Well,
That also works.
Yeah.
Yes.
the
How
juice
did
is
you know that
loose.
works? The juice was loose for a moment, but almost, it's like 30 something years since the original. Tim Burton got some writers in to go back and come up with some ideas for a sequel, and they brought Michael Keaton back, thankfully, and a lot of the main cast came back again to maybe kick a little bit of the nostalgia itch, but also see maybe what Beetlejuice would be like for a new audience. Which, funny enough, I mentioned that because Zach went into watching this movie having not seen the original. So before we kind of get into some of his thoughts, what he thought about the movie as is, Danny, hit us with some numbers.
Yeah. So, looking at the budget, this movie had a $100 million budget compared to the first one, which only had a $15 million.
Yeah, it's
budget.
a big difference.
Yeah, I
Big
mean, that's
jump.
a $15 million budget from, 88.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
count that up with inflation, and it'll be a little closer.
Maybe not that much, because there are a lot of like practical effects and stuff in there.
True.
Like, and claymation stuff that happened in the original one. This one, definitely, Warner Brothers said, we're going to use some of that.
But still, $100 million for this movie was not bad, especially with a lot of recent movies going well over $200 million.
And a lot of big names, too.
Yeah. And so far, worldwide box office, it's at $335 million. So it's definitely recouped some money, for sure.
Yeah, that's a solid win for Warner Brothers. They had the spring stuff, the spring win with Dune Part 2, and then a bit of a dry summer, and then starting off fall with some really strong with the pre-October spooky vibes of Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. I think it's pretty cool to see. It's a great way to kind of not only introduce us to new audiences, but also it was a good sense of it wasn't really just member berries everywhere. It felt like the tone was really in line with the original one. It felt like it barely missed a step. It was just it's still kind of a little scary because it's about to do with dead stuff, but then it's also kind of goofy at the same time. It's kind of making not a joke of the afterlife, but continuing that the afterlife is just more bureaucratic and having to deal with random stuff. Even so, even after you die, it's kind of annoying to deal with. Really, just annoying.
I mean, this one definitely had some funnier, I guess the people that have died, you see how they've died by their appearance.
You had that in the original one, but this one
I feel like this one took it over.
Yeah, it took it to a new level with more. It had more of a budget to do costuming, wild stuff. I thought it was really fun. But I would love to, again, put the young kid on the spot a little bit here. Just general impressions. I don't think you've seen other Tim Burton stuff, right?
Yeah, I've seen quite a bit of his stuff. In the time that I've been alive, not anything before, really.
So you've only seen movies that he's made since you were born?
Pretty much.
Okay, since 98. So you watched Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Big Fish,
Dumbo.
Both Alice in Wonderlands, Dark Shadows.
Well, some stuff, not everything.
These were all off the top of my head, by the way. I swear I'm not reading off of the list.
Did you see
Those out of those, maybe just one of them.
Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd. I also saw Sweeney Todd in 2006, whatever.
Zach was
was
slow
that
your boat
early?
over here.
Yeah, he's
Dark Shadows?
buddy. I love Dark Shadows.
I could have sworn that movie was more 90s.
Which one?
The one you just said.
Sweeney Todd?
Sweeney Todd, yeah.
No.
I thought
That's
that
Edward
was-
Scissorhands.
Oh yeah, man. Edward Scissorhands was like around that time. We talked about it like last week. How like Tim Burton was kind of like on a roll. Like he had Beetlejuice. It was like Batman, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, and then like it's just like the dude was going all out.
Nice.
Oh wait, that means you saw Planet of the Apes. Ah, damn it.
I did see that one.
Yeah, see, that was the one. All right, so knowing a little bit of what he's capable of,
Frank
you know,
and Weenie.
yeah, Frank and Weenie. Forgot about Frank and Weenie. What were your overall takes on like the tone of the movie and kind of like how it meshed like comedy with spookiness?
Well,
Or a
I
bit of the
wasn't.
grotesqueness, yeah.
I wasn't expecting as much comedy as there was. I figured it was going to be like a not really like gory kind of scary movie.
Mhm.
I wouldn't even say it was a scary movie, but I wasn't expecting the amount of comedy that there was because aside from maybe like commercials back in the day, like I know that was it ABC Family or something that would do like these Halloween things, and Beetlejuice might have been one of those that they played every year. Only ever seeing the TV ads for when they show Beetlejuice. I had no context, or I knew nothing of that movie, so I went in this completely blind, as we mentioned earlier, and I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed that nice mix of the comedy and then like some of the
I think the
afterlife kind of
plot,
stuff.
afterlife stuff, and even like the plot points. Like I could tell like in the theater, like part of me was kind of like wanting to, like we were in our big group in Dolby, and I'm kind of looking over, and I like fully engaged, like really in there. Like man, he's okay. I'm looking like he's liking it. That's pretty cool. Like it's a little bit validating because like all right, like maybe it'll get him to.
Even to the point where I was like calling things, I'm like, oh, I think this is what's going on here.
Oh yeah, and so as we get into more of his, I always do this late, so sorry, listeners and viewers, but there will be spoilers for a plot point of a movie that came out in September of 2024.
It's like, oh, this person died.
Well, yeah,
But now you
it's
have
like-
spoilers.
Yeah, it's like, whoops, surprise spoilers. So anyway, we're gonna go right into spoilers. Everything that kind of went through, because the opening of the maybe 20-30 minutes of the movie, it was a lot of setting up and like tying in stuff from the original and bringing in some new stuff. So like it first started off with some of the new stuff like with Lydia, and then like into what's Beetlejuice is doing now, and then you bring up the whole like former wife and Dolores, but then it kind of starts bringing in some newer characters. So like when Astrid ends up meeting Jeremy, like we start seeing more and more of him, and like Zach's kind of like, wait a minute, I'm pretty like immediately calls us like, wait, so like you're just here? He goes, he's dead, like he's got to be dead. So like, oh, she can see ghosts now. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, that would make perfect sense, like considering the whole rebelling from my mom, it's a ruse and a sham that she can see ghosts. And then it tied in some of the other plot points of that too. Like it's like having him like kind of like go through the group is like, dude, I think this, and like the rest of us were like pretty much impressed. I'm like, good for you. Like
Yeah, you were definitely like picking stuff up.
Yeah,
throughout.
because
but like it was a good pickup, right?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like cheap or just like, oh man, like this is predictable. It's kind of like you start by seeing it, you can piece it together, and it like felt rewarding, right?
because the one specific part there, it was one of those that like if you weren't paying attention to just like the I don't know if you the way that they didn't show the character's parents' face.
That was the part that I clocked it. I was like, it was kind of weird. They didn't show them. It was like, oh hey, mom and dad, and
Yeah, it's just like
it's
the
like
back of their
show their
hands,
back. I'm like,
that was
kind of
Like
weird.
no, like barely a verbal response or like anything. Is just
Yeah.
like, huh, yeah.
Like,
I remember looking at my
mom
sister. I'm
didn't-
like,
yeah.
this will be fun. Like
Something's
I remember
up.
like thumbs up. Like this is gonna be cool. This is something up. And then like they had the like the nice moment upstairs as but what was also cool is like the as that was going on, like Astrid is asking just driving over here, I have something going on Halloween, and this is already like there was a point where Lydia's like, we gotta get out of here. I'm done. Like I ran into Beetlejuice again. He's back. I need to get out. And credit to her being the mom. Like, hey, I still want to forge relationship. Drives her over to that house, and it's like, oh yeah, no, Astrid's on a date, and like she's explaining it to the daughter of the realtor from the first movie, which I loved. Like my sister was leaving a call, like, oh my god, that's her daughter. I was like, that's so freaking cool. And she's still being they're still douchebags and trying to sell the house, and and then that's when she comes out with one like the hilarious like the terrible Halloween costume where it's just mortgage in reverse.
That's right.
But it was like so on brand for that character. Like, she's like, "Oh, I'm over like at this one address," and she's like, "Oh no, that address, like, there's no way because that's my one black mark. I'm trying to sell anything. Like, that's the murder house." And you're like, "Oh, like confirmed." And like, moment she said murder house, like, there it is. And it was really funny because Jeremy's there in the window, and it's wild because everybody's going around. Like Astrid sees him, but then also Lydia sees him. It's like, oh, maybe I should go and say hi because like she recognized that she could see him. It's like, obviously they can both see them because they have the gift. They got the shinin. And that tied into like the other like all this other wild stuff of like of the plot point of getting Astrid tangled up with the afterlife and Beetlejuice, and this a whole other like that's like the B plot. And the A plot is basically like Beetlejuice trying to worm his way out of
his ex.
Out of his ex by trying to get it back with Lydia again, even though she has her own C plot of her with Rory, her manager / boyfriend, played hilariously by Justin Theroux. Like that was like I always forget like the guy has range.
He was such a jerk. Such an a-hole, man.
Like during the whole like funeral thing.
God.
The theater groaned. It's like, wait, we should get married. Everyone's like, oh my god, this guy. Like everyone already knew. It's like this dude. But like, because at first it's just like, you're not gonna take these pills anymore. It's like, okay, he's kind of a little over the top, but he means well. And then it was just like, oh no, this guy's like, I also just lost my grandfather. Oh really? When? Like 20 years ago. But my child self and all this new age BS that Astrid correctly is calling him out on.
Just the way he delivered like those lines and just like serious but unserious, but like
completely insufferable. Oh man, it's ridiculous. But going into like like new characters, the whole introduction.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and they're all pretty great. Like I'm not gonna lie, like it didn't like Anthony says it's a lot, but they didn't feel like there was a lot like of them. Like I mean, like I'm sorry, like I didn't feel stuffed or overwhelmed. Like it's just like the ones that mattered were the ones that mattered, and they showed up, they did their things, and that's kind of it. Like like there's other new characters that kind of like come in and out, but then there's like the side characters that somehow still get the plot moving. Like Dolores, her introduction in the beginning with it's really credited as Danny DeVito, so it's not even really a cameo; it's an actual part. Where the whole bit where Dolores like assembles herself and then kind of starts stealing the dead souls while he's listening to "Tragedy" by the Bee Gees. That whole sequence was out of hand. Like, cause that song, I don't know, like I can never take that song seriously. Because of just like how over the top that song is and it being used in such a wild sequence like this. Apparently the writers were like, we were going to make this happen. Like that was like constructed, all done on purpose with that kind of like long play of the Bee Gees. I thought it was funny. I don't know. I think I can be going on the side of corny, but I thought it was funny.
And they had the whole, I think they had Danny DeVito have some form of blood going down his face, kind of looking like the Penguin.
Yeah, if you ever saw Batman Returns, like he had that weird like black goo stuff. Just like it's the same thing over and over again. But it's weird that how even in the afterlife, electricity is still conducive with liquid. That was a thing. I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And but it also makes sense because later on we find out like how like she got chopped up in the first place, and then it's also a nice callback from the original movie where like they're like Beetlejuice is trying to get Lydia to get married, and he grabs the ring from a finger, and he's like, "Oh, she meant nothing to me." And then that's like the finger is the last piece that Dolores puts together, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't just a random mix; it's actually connected from the first one, and somehow." And yeah, clever. It was a bit clever writing. What other new characters? That was kind of or like running gags. I think like more like
a new character.
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
Wolf Jackson.
Random cop of the underworld or whatever.
He was an actor who had played a
He was
cop.
great.
I didn't know that grenade was live.
He was great, and his assistant who kept giving him coffee throughout the whole movie.
Just so he can crush the coffee.
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
That was, to me, that was one of my favorite gags.
I think like even from the second time, I was like, I feel like this is gonna be a thing.
She's just gonna keep coming here.
Because it was too quick in between.
Yeah, in the middle of the movie, they show his garbage can, and it's just full of the cups of coffee.
Another running gag.
Have to keep it real.
Writing, yeah, gotta keep it real. Thanks for keeping me real. Like, his bit and getting all the they look like Chips cops, but like that's kind of like his squad to kind of go after Dolores and Beetlejuice. But some of the other running gags, and we were talking about like returning characters, how they found an interesting way to still bring in the character of Charles Dietz while not bringing back what's his name for reasons which I won't get into. Say he got in trouble with some things, but like they found a way, like they used like the fun like Frankenweenie Nightmare Before Christmas claymation. Where we found out that he survived a plane crash in the ocean, but got chomped by a shark. Like a whole half, or not whole half, that's oxymoron, but like his like half his body just gone. So it's funny because you see him in the underworld, he just like, there's no body. It's just like half of the part that the shark chomped off. And he's just running through the rest of the underworld and the whole bureaucracy of getting all the numbers and everything. Jeffrey Jones, yep. I remember him also from Mom and Dad Save the World. But they found a way to kind of like get around that, which was pretty cool. And then to Zach was really confused because at the funeral they're singing Deo by Harry Belafonte. And
it's kind of weird. It's like
I'm assuming it's from the first movie.
It most certainly is.
But the thing is, it's still weird that they would be singing that at the funeral. It's just the like, hey, remember this song from the first movie?
Yeah, it was also like they, I guess, really liked Harry Belafonte because remember at the end of
it was the family. It was the ghosts. The ghosts had that. What do you call it? Had that album.
Oh yeah, they had the album. But I think they like because like the Dietzes, the Maitlands, like the Dietz and the Maitlands kind of like got along. Remember, because at the end,
by the end,
he's reading the book on like how to coexist with the dead.
And
so
she's dancing.
To
Lydia's
hanging out
to their music.
I got an A in my math test, so I get to dance with the football ghosts. It's great. Yeah, you're in for a trip, Zach. You gotta watch the first one. It's too much fun.
To me, it's kind of weird that they did all these like interesting steps, which it was pretty clever to kind of sidestep not having that actor in the movie, the actor of Lydia's father, Jeffrey Jones. But I feel like somehow the character was still in the movie for almost the whole entire movie. It's like they kind of,
he's dead. You have to kill him off.
But I'm saying
kill him off.
That's what I'm saying. They could have killed him off and then just like kind of like ended it and not worry about it. And they're like, no, we're gonna have half of him in the whole entire movie.
I like that. I thought it was like, I thought it was really goofy, but like it's like a fun goofy. Like, yeah, this is the kind of like weird tone that this movie has, and that's like even before we get into like everything going on with Beetlejuice, where he's still trying to be like this like afterlife bio exorcist like hustler, and then now he has like a call center with all these other dudes who apparently got into the bad graces of that witch doctor because they all have shrunken heads. They all have shrunken heads, and MVP of the Office, Bob, trying to hold it down. Bob was my boy, and we talked about Rory. Oh, and my favorite, I have to bring it up, but my favorite, like probably second or third favorite new character. I can't say like second because it's still like Wolf Jackson and Bob were hilarious, and Rory too, but. Father Damien, the priest, God, just put more. Burn Gorman needs to be in more stuff. That dude can do creepy. He can also do comedy. Like he's doing his whole like end of the father, end of going with what it is dying and of the bit divine and whatever stuff. And just like, and I love it because then Delia is looking at him like, what? Like what are you rambling about? And then like later in the movie when Rory is like freaking out because all of the employees escaped the afterlife and are running through the house. And he's just like, there's guys with shrunken heads everywhere and big bodies. And then the father's like, yeah, Halloween's kind of weird. Do you want to ride to the church, I guess? Like just like, nah, no big deal. I'm not going to freak out about it. Like the just like Astrid being sort of like the what Lydia was back then, and Lydia kind of just being stuck in all of this. And funny enough, like Delia, her like running gag of trying to make a whole art exhibit out of mourning, which just led to some like really comical situations.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole like she's screaming and just like, no, I'm trying to capture the perfect agonizing scream. The actual funeral itself is the whole thing, draping the entire house in the wake with like the house itself is in mourning. But at the same time, her giving Rory all the crap that's well deserved because that guy's a piece of garbage. And even then, she's just like, "Where's that like goth girl that used to always antagonize me the whole time?" Like, kind of like, dude, like, find yourself. We're here, and it kind of thematically helped her, kind of like, help Lydia kind of center herself out because she's kind of like just randomly doing ghost adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
When it started,
I know.
I looked at Zach. I was like,
we all looked at Ghost Adventures is so
We all look
ridiculous.
at each other with Ghost Adventures. I'm just like, how'd the dog get there? It's like, yeah, the dog didn't like it too. It's just the dog's just barking. We're like, ghosts. Like, yep, we'll find out next time. But and I liked how like initially still like, yeah, she still sees ghosts because you had that one Russian lady. It's like, so you know what? I can't handle this right now. Like, just go away. And the ghosts are still trying to just like roll up to her.
I love the shark bite tombstone for the father, for the
Yeah.
grandfather.
Oh
That's
my
ridiculous.
Yeah, the shark bite.
The fin. Right?
no, wasn't it the fin?
It was a fin.
yes,
It was just made a
It was a
fin
fin.
out of his tombstone, like translucent.
But he
it
was a
like,
shark
Yeah,
bite, like
yeah.
literally like half
Yeah,
his
just
body.
like
was,
half of it was just like just the top half was there. I was like, dude,
Somehow
what the
still
hell?
talking. But
Yeah, I was just like, dude, what the heck? Yeah, it's somehow still talking there after like,
With all the-
underwater.
I like
Half a spine.
the guy with all the piranhas.
that's,
Yeah,
so that's
That's Astrid's dad.
Astrid's
That's
dad.
Richard. That was really
Another
cool.
new character.
Yeah, which I thought was nice to see because they had always like alluded to him the whole time. Like, oh, we never knew if he died or not. I'm like if Danny Amazon, he probably. You see, like it's just like blatantly someone getting like still being like chomped on by
I just
piranhas.
love the clear animatronics of them just like constantly flapping.
Like they have a whole thing where they have like a really nice moment. They get stuck on like Afterlife Titan again, and the sandworms are showing up. Which, by the way, shout out to the new sandworm effects. That's from the first
updated.
one. They did it before. The
Very
first
Dune-esque.
Denis Villeneuve Dune. It's just they look weirder because it's they're dead. I don't know. So like Richard saves them, and then it's like I see you
no
guys.
real explanation of why they were in this movie. They're just there.
Why they went to like Saturn or Titan or whatever.
Yeah.
I liked it how finally somebody called out. I was like, "Is that Saturn?" I remember seeing it as a kid, like, "Is that Saturn?" And then someone else is now asking the question. I'm like, "Great, I'm not the weirdo paying attention to this while I was a kid." And then the whole thing's there because, like, again, Jeremy ends up being, we know, like we mentioned before, Jeremy ends up also being a piece of garbage, trying to do some weird loophole to steal Astrid's life force and him come back. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So, like, what did you think, Zach, about, like, Beetlejuice as a character? And all, like, the kind of really wacky stuff that he was doing? Because he's basically a demon. Like, at this point, like, he's just a demon.
Well, yeah.
Like, he was a human, but then he straight up became a demon. Like, I don't know how, but, like, dude used so much of the afterlife to just, like, really be a menace.
Yeah. I forget her character's name. Winona Ryder.
Lydia.
Lydia, right? Okay. That she mentions towards the beginning a few times that Beetlejuice is a demon, etc. And I mean, given that, obviously I didn't watch the first movie. I didn't know like what he was all about, and like what he's capable of and what he did in that movie. And then seeing this now, it's I wouldn't say it's a lot of, I don't know if hijinks is the right word.
It kind of is. It's like hijinks, like really crude and crass humor, and
Yeah,
also like grimy, like trying to get what he wants, right?
Yeah, because I don't know what he wanted in the first movie. So I don't know like what lengths he was willing to go or things that he was willing to do to get what he wanted in the first movie. And in this movie, his ultimate goal was just to finally marry Lydia.
Yeah, that was the end up being like that's like the end goal in the first one, sort of.
Okay, so it's kind of the same thing.
It's kind of the same thing, but at the same time, it's like the two main characters of the like one of the two of like the three main characters of the first movie. Their whole thing is that they're dead, and they're like, hey, we want these living people out of my house, but they can't like they're not that good at scaring people or like haunting their own house. So then like
these were the
Maitlands, yeah,
Alec Bald,
Yeah.
Gina Davis, yeah.
Okay,
so there's like they go through some wild steps to try to like freak them out, possession, haunting, whatever, and like because they're so like artsy fartsy, and like Lydia also is just in tune with just being able to see them. Like most of those people are like we could they have the experience and like, oh, we can make money off of this, or like, oh, this is so interesting, and they're just like, we don't know what to do, and then they end up summoning Beetlejuice, and then Beetlejuice is basically trying to hit on Alec Baldwin's wife, or basically trying to hit on Gina Davis the whole time, and just like doing all this wild stuff, and then there's like a whole thing, and yeah, it's great. You find out just like, hey, you don't mess with this guy because he sells himself as a bio-exorcist, which is why you saw in the call centers are like, oh, I want to get these people out of my house, or I want to haunt my ex-wife who I'm dead and now she's dating the guy who killed me, or something like that. Like it's like kind of this wild thing. So like that's his shtick.
So what,
he's a bio-exorcist. So I exorcise the living.
So he sends spirits?
No, ideally he goes himself, but like since now he's outsourcing it to like Bob and all those other dudes, like it's just like kind of a con, like for dead people. Like,
God.
Yeah, it's great. Like it's just how grimy he is.
And what's up with the diorama?
So the diorama is the diorama that Alec Baldwin's character made. Like he made that at his house. Like they're just a couple.
Before or after he was a ghost?
Before. No, yeah, before it was a ghost. It's the whole accurate layout of the town. And you even see in the diorama, like there's two like little figures. Like that's like supposed to be like a little like nod to the Maitlands in there.
And that was also in the beginning, like opening sequence where they go through the town, where they die. You actually see them both.
Yeah,
which was pretty cool.
Yeah, like it's kind of
because that wasn't obviously in the first one.
Correct. Yeah, but the whole first like because the whole thing is at first you're like, oh, like why is he's gonna like his whole like backstory with his ex-wife. Which is all done in Italian, by the way, which was hilarious.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, it was all done in
that black and white look with the Italian.
Montage with the Italian, like it gave it that.
So out of nowhere, that was funny.
Yeah, Mia Bella. It's just going through La Bella della Morte. Like it's I don't know who thought about that, but it was perfect. And the whole bitch like, oh, she sacrifices people for their souls. So he's like, before I died, we cut ties. Like how he said something on the lines of this, like, oh, so we had a hard split, or he makes some other like insinuation that he just chopped her up, and yeah, like Dolores is running around with just straight up vengeance, just sucking souls of everybody, just looking for Beetlejuice because this kind of like ends whatever ritual she was looking for. Yeah, like the bit. I wanted to know that because this is like how he was really introduced to the main characters. But when Rory tries to do like really crappy therapy with Lydia, it's like you're gonna have to face your own trauma, and you're not gonna like it. And he just does says the name 3 times, and immediately she's just like, what the hell is going on? You're my repressed childhood trauma. I was like, do you think this is trauma? And then just like screws him up. that whole sequence is just perfectly like. It's
you
perfect.
said it was like
pacing
it
of
was pretty,
Beetlejuice.
well, more or less, it was like the same shot from the same scene, or some
Kinda.
aspects of it were
Very
the same.
similar because
The
like
screen,
Rory was very similar. Like, what the
Mhm.
heck are you doing? It's like are you scaring? It's like, oh, check this out. He's just the same. Like his face opens up and has a whole bunch of
Yeah.
weird stuff that comes out that happened in the first one.
This time it was the intestines.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you think I'm still? I was like, you think this is a figment of your imagination? He's like, oh, just something inside. And he's just like, all his intestines just come out. Which like Anthony made a point. Is like this movie like low key
kinda
got away
gross.
with a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, it got away with a lot.
for PG-13, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, is it 13?
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I
That
hope
makes
so.
sense.
Shit.
I thought it was at a certain point. I'm like, oh my god.
Remember, the first movie was PG,
PG.
back then because
There was
PG-13
no
I don't think
PG.
had existed
Yeah.
when that movie came out.
They slipped one F-bomb just like I think they did. Yeah, they did here. And then there was
Well,
they did
I think
one.
they got away with a
They got away
few.
with one, and then they bleeped another one out.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, so they said one uncensored.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I know they
But
did say one
because they said
censored.
it first. They did the uncensored one first, and when they were about to do the second one, that's where they bleeped it.
I don't remember where
The
they said
second
it the
one,
first
yeah,
time.
the first time was when Jeremy tried to go through customs and do the whole thing, and that's after Lydia made the deal with Beetlejuice, and they got back into the afterlife, and so he was at the counter, and he's just like, and he hits him with the lever, and that's where he that's where he drops it. But I forget the exact line.
They for sure got away with not saying it, but I remember when Beetlejuice was doing like infecting the computer with like pop-up ads.
Oh.
So I watched it again,
I totally
and there's
saw.
only two. There's only an F and a U. I didn't see a C or.
I
or a
remember
K.
seeing the word. I was like, oh, they got
Yeah.
away with another one.
Yeah, so I did see the F and the U,
Because spelling
but it
out,
could have been fun, or it could have been
Well, I
something.
guess not. I guess if someone's not saying it, it doesn't matter. But I was like, man,
No, but if it's printed, it should still count. But I didn't
Yeah,
see
it
it. I didn't see it completely. I've seen it twice. But like his whole like kind of like psychically stalking her, and then like him showing up after Rory like summons him with like the freaky demon baby,
Oh my God,
and
dude.
at that point like Lydia immediately is like, no, we're not doing this again. So she tries to say his name again, and he does the same like squeal scream from the first movie. Dude, I must have been.
Oh,
like,
you lost it.
I must have been the
Yeah.
only. I must have been the only idiot in the theater laughing so hard at that. He just is like, "Ee!" Like just, it's perfect. It was just like ripped it from the original and he put it back in. It's just like, but like the same mannerism and everything, and completely did the zip mouth shut again, and it was freaking awesome. Like that, it was too cool. And that's where Lydia has the whole like, no, we're done. He's back. And then even Delia was like because Delia like, oh, Lydia's her special whatever, but she knows ghosts exist. So like when they're drinking up Beetlejuice again, she's like, oh no, this is bad. Like yeah, like it's not good that he's back. But then at the same time, Rory's like, no, we're gonna get married on your favorite holiday, Halloween, at the wake, like and
It's ridiculous.
again. And then he's giving away the worst candy. He's not even giving away candy. That's what makes him a real piece of garbage. He's not even giving away candy at Halloween. And then we get to like the final reveal once they deal with the whole Jeremy thing. Richard sends him back, which is again a nice little touch. They get out from the mausoleum. Plot twist: the art exhibit of the Egyptian asps that Delia wanted to play around with. Turns out they weren't defanged. And I love her having her having her Karen moment in the.
In
the actual like afterlife waiting room.
get like to pick her.
There must be some mistake, and like, of course there is. Like,
Yeah.
everyone says there's been some mistake. Same thing because we got it. The introduction to that again was when the other graffiti artist she had in her exhibit fell down the manhole. That was a cool way. I think that was a nice, another cool way to bring up the afterlife. Like that. How did that scene play out for you when like the French artist guy ended up dying and he's just like there with like a jacked up neck or something like in the waiting room, and you're like, oh, that's the waiting room. Like, how did that land?
I don't even remember seeing him in that waiting room.
Yeah, because he's like, where am I? Oh, yeah, he's like, hey, where am I? And then they're like, go down the hall, or like, and then then the janitor's like, damn foreigners.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That was like early on in the
He's
movie.
just like, dude,
Okay.
where the hell am I? He's like, you're dead. Go over there.
At first, I didn't realize what was going on, but then I was like, okay, this is probably
Yeah.
something to do with
Take a number, have a seat. Just take a
Yeah.
number, and you start seeing all the ways the other people died. Like when Delia's there's like a burnt up Santa. Like, and
Oh yeah.
there's another guy. There's the guy who's got like died trying to do an escape act. Just
Oh,
over
yeah,
there.
he was in a box.
He's in a waterlogged box. Like they got way more. Like got way more creative with him. Like in the original one, there was like a lady who was sawed in half. Another magic trick that went bad.
They had
the witch
half
doctor.
surfer with his board, but he had his top
He had
hat.
his top hat.
And he like looks at the
then
fun.
He looks at Charles and he goes, "Hey, what's up, bro?"
Shark attack.
And even him, he goes, "Brr." like he acknowledges too. It's like, "What up, dude?" Like, okay, those little goofy things. At first, I didn't know how to feel about the Soul Train because I'm also like, because
It was funny for a little bit,
But think about it. No,
but it went on for a while. Man.
That's kind of a great gag.
No, it's a great gag. But
They do it
like,
twice.
It's a fun gag. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Astra's getting stuck with all these random people discoing. Like, what the hell? And like Russian people running after her. But it makes you think. Before the 1970s, was that a Soul Train?
I don't know.
Think about it. Like, was it like actual? Like how did they send people off to their respective afterlives when they finally qualified for it? If like the Soul Train didn't exist yet, you know what I mean? Like the people who died in 800 AD or 2000 BC
Got revamped. I don't know.
It,
was a
it goes
revamp.
through renovations. Like that was the only thing in my brain watching it the second time. I'm like, wait, how did
There's
this?
probably a railroad track before, and then they made a subway.
Or maybe it's a road, or horses, a chariot. Like, hey, you know what? Now it's a Soul Train. It's like the pun works. It's gonna be like it's for eternity.
Depending on the religion, back a couple thousand plus years ago, would have been like the
I mean, you saw it. You had the Elysian Fields, Great Beyond, Pearly Gates.
Yeah, because you have like different religions. You have Greek, you have Christianity, you have
Just Great Beyond, agnostically Great Beyond. And then you had the Great Inferno wherever Jeremy went, which because he went straight to start burning for life, or for the afterlife, which well deserved. He's garbage.
Well deserved, but I feel like
Kind of quick, right?
Yeah, it was just they were kind of having him be I guess the main bad guy because that's kind of one of the main storylines. And then it's oh man, he got her all the way over there, and then he screwed Astrid over, and then that's what made Lydia get Beetlejuice. Hey, I need you to save my daughter. And then 5 minutes later,
once they find her,
Beetlejuice becomes one of the not accountants, but
the counter
people
person.
that sends people on the Soul Train. He's like, nope. He got a stamp on the door. It's denied.
Yeah, didn't he say you're effed or something like that?
I think he said some either MF or it's you're fucked, and then just on the hell, it's over. It's what?
That's how powerful Beetlejuice is. Don't question it.
They feel like they did that with 6 of their storylines, where it was just the whole movie is build up of 6 different things, and it's
resolve really quick, go. Which I get, yeah. And even then, I was I remember looking at the runtime, I was hey, this is short.
Well, it was 2 hours, right?
No, less.
No.
Was it 2 hours? Was it 2 hours and
2 hours on a dot?
50 hour 40. I thought it was.
No, an hour 45.
Really?
An hour exactly. That's why I'm it's running a little short.
Was that this one or the first one?
No, the second one. The first one's an hour and 29.
Okay.
Or an hour and 31.
This one felt a little longer.
Yeah, I felt
well, because it felt longer, but I was it could have been longer because especially everything going on with Astrid, or again, just like the first one, there isn't a lot of time that Beetlejuice is on screen, but he's there, and he's when he is there, homie,
He shines for sure.
Oh yeah, no, Michael Keaton had not missed a step. All the practical gags, the teleport, or just oh, how are we gonna get back to the afterlife? He's already over there, drawing the bomb. I remember Anthony going, wait, what?
He's Jason from Friday the 13th movies.
Just gone. And then wait, I'm actually behind. I'm in front of you. You look to the wall. Wait, I'm gone. And then you're back over there. It's all the sight gags because he's supernatural and everything else. And then he does from the original, they're this ultimate everybody's stuck in and I got my I'm executing my plan. This one too, where finally all right, cool. Contract states I'm marrying Lydia, and then you have where he just gets all the influencers into their own phones. That was kind of freaky too, because I thought they were gonna, because their faces stretching is similar to a scary face stretch and
Like-
dysmorphia from the
like a
first
filter.
movie.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go
like there
look
was something where like the Maitlands did something to mess with their faces.
Okay.
They did this like they did something similar. It looked like that at first, but then it's like they just got sucked into their phones. He's like, all right. He's like, we wanted a more private session. I was like, this stupid stuff like that writes itself. I was like, all right, this is cool. And then we get the ultimate bonkers like final sequence of what's the name of the song that's not Jurassic Park? MacArthur Park.
It's not Jurassic Park.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I knew it.
I also
as
knew it
Jurassic
originally
Park.
as the Jurassic
This is
Park.
the Weird Al version.
Weird Al made a parody of
Oh,
MacArthur Park,
okay.
and it was about Jurassic Park is frightening in the dark. And it was also funny enough that music video is in claymation. It was perfect on it. But yeah, this whole like 7-minute sequence of MacArthur Park apparently was also like Tim
Too long.
Burton's like, I want it. No, it was perfect.
It was not. It was
That
too
song,
long.
that song is too long, but tying up with everything was perfect because you needed like some. There's always some like he's like, oh, you got a little montage or like a freeze frame. I was like, dude, everyone like, he's just like showing off at this point. Like the whole thing was like, the cake.
Someone left
just, like,
the cake in the rain too many times.
too many times. Yes.
They didn't need to do the whole song.
Yes, they did. They had to do the weird like like that little like trumpet part, and like you had a whole like brass and orchestra in the top part too. Like all of that was just really silly. And then you have Wolf Jackson coming in, and he's just like, "You're under arrest," and he hits him with the freeze. Damn it! It's like, he hit him
With
all
another
with the
coffee.
Yeah, he hit him with the freeze, and yeah, after everything he like thaws out, this chick is back with another coffee. That's a commitment to the
And
guy.
she like jumps through the window to like
Yeah.
get back
Yeah,
up.
it's like, here you are, sir. Like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. And that was like, after everyone
man.
is frozen, like, the priest is trying to run away. It was like, no, you're not going anywhere because we need you to officiate. And, like, Father Damien just like, what is
And
happening?
everyone lip syncing, or him
Making
forcing
everyone lip syncing and
lip-syncing with
dancing.
So
Which
you
is like-
haven't seen the original movie,
He hasn't seen
No.
the Deo
right?
scene.
Well, I mean, maybe he's seen that scene.
No.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah.
I only ever saw whatever
Promo.
ABC Family
Yeah.
had from
Okay.
way back in the
What
day.
they-
Well,
So-
they just tried
For the
to
Halloween
emulate a
Yeah.
very iconic scene from the
But
first
do something
movie.
different.
Oh,
And
Like,
they
it was-
definitely did it different,
Yeah.
sort of, but in my opinion, not as good.
It's
And
just, to me, it's just different.
It's too
Like,
long.
I like it.
The other one was like that song isn't that long, and they like stopped it at the like perfect part. And the way it stops in the original movie is creepy and weird. But yeah, so they tried doing it in this movie. So I wonder, did you like that scene? Did it feel long to you? Was it?
Probably a little long, but it was so enjoyable to me.
That's cool. Like, when someone hadn't seen that sequence, I'll take that. Yeah. I thought it was fun.
And moving from, I guess, that song, what did you think of like the score of the
Dude, Danny Elfman.
with Danny Elfman?
Danny Elfman don't miss.
To be honest, I can't think of any of the themes that stood out to me.
Not even the beginning of the movie.
Not the intro.
Well, aside from the intro, yeah, like,
That's like
aside
the main
from
theme.
yeah, that's
Yeah, that's like the main theme. Like,
That's it. I mean, it's very like
Elfmanish,
what?
like Danny Elfman.
Danny Elfman.
No, I was gonna say like for what the movie's about. Like it has I mean, I think of Nightmare Before Christmas kind of music
Yeah.
with it. I don't know if Daniel.
Yes.
Did Daniel do
Yeah.
the same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
He's also the
Yeah.
voice of Jack Skellington.
Oh, really?
The singing voice.
Yeah.
Oh, singing.
Yeah,
voice.
he's
The
the
singing voice.
Danny Elfman's the singing voice. He really wanted to be like the main acting voice too, but like it didn't really mesh well. So I remember reading hearing a thing about it. He was disappointed, but he's like, it happens. But he still was the singing voice. And yeah, like the score is still iconic. I was there with my sister. She's like, man, like it's like just like the original one, like in a good way. It wasn't just like mining cheap nostalgia.
when the movie opened, like with that, I guess title sequence and going through like the town with the music, that was like a
Just,
throwback.
it brings you back.
Yeah, I was like, all right, this is what we gotta set up. This
We're
is
ready.
good.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of the sequence in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think when they were going down the chocolate river in the boat and everything, the music kind of reminded me of that sequence.
Boy, I wonder why. I'm glad that worked.
He works with
He works with Tim Burton
Tim
like
Burton a
all
lot.
the time.
if not all the time, a lot.
Yeah. That's like totally the thing.
It's like with the interesting instrument choices that were made for the score. I think it was it was nicely done. Well done.
Yeah, like clarinet and all this, like all the
like the organs and
the original all the freaky organs. Dead people spirit stuff. But like we were always like super impressed by like the clarinet runs in the middle of the score and just like and then they brought it back like we're in it, and the whole like bum, 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 like that's just absolute like one of like the iconic Danny Elfman scores. So yeah, you can't have this movie without having that. Like it's overall very enjoyable. I liked it a lot, but I cannot end this podcast episode. I know I talked a lot, but I cannot end this episode without taking a moment of silence for my boy Bob. He got done dirty by Dolores. He got unjustly arrested by Wolf Jackson, and therefore was put in harm's way.
But Beetlejuice told him to watch the room. And he dressed him as Beetlejuice. He's like, he'll be the decoy.
He's like, you gotta be always in front of me at all times. And then I gotta go. It's just poor Bob. Dude, the best part too is
it's like all the other small head dudes go into the real world.
Yeah, because he blew up the window. He's like, good job, guys. And then they're working. And then Bob's like, okay, guys, everybody back to your place. And they're just like, nope.
Deuces.
He's like, I'm out. And like they're running all goof. Like the goofy run just like really sold that. It's
and then like because it's Halloween, like nobody really notices these weirdos with small heads. They just think it's Halloween costume.
Except for Rory, because
he already saw what was happening.
What was going on. He knew where they came from. And then like again, only he's freaking out. Yeah. And then before I go into it, Bob had to die. Or Bob had to get got in order for Dolores and Rory to get sandwormed. Good job, Astrid. She read the book.
Earlier in the movie when she was at the attic of this boy's house, what's his name?
Jeremy.
She's sifting through the books and she specifically like goes to a random page but she's reading that page about the sandworms and she's like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like by happenstance. It's like, oh, let me go to a random page about the sandworms.
Yeah.
Like, they showed it earlier in the movie that she read that part of the book.
She's like, I think we can bring them back in. Yeah. So she's like, once I'm not possessed with my dead grandmother, doing a song and dance to MacArthur Park, we can make this happen. And that's because Dolores showed up. Mm-hmm. We had the sandworm coming through and Beetlejuice doing the Spanish ole, like... Which again, then he spoke Italian and Spanish and English in this movie. It's pretty great. Multifaceted man there with whatever dubbing they did. But the big reveal.
I hope it was actually him just doing a different language.
I think if they had time, I doubt it. But I think it
was too good.
Yeah, it was too good for him to be like.
Yeah, maybe he knows all these languages.
If he did the Italian bit, dude, like give him another Oscar. Like,
I mean, Monica Bellucci could have easily like helped him out with it.
Monica Bellucci did Monica Bellucci things, and I'm grateful for it.
She walked around.
Looked for
for 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes.
No, she walked around in the span of an hour. We only saw her walk around for like 4 minutes, and then the whole I like the hit him with the truth serum and Rory, getting exposed, rightfully so. Again, the guy's a douche. Like. That guy is more douchey than than Delia's agent from part 1, like the short kind of like fat guy. That guy who's just kind of like, oh, we're gonna monetize everything and we're gonna he tried to like exorcise the Maitlands by accident. Yeah. So like Rory is more douchey than him because that guy was just
Otho?
Otho was just kind of an idiot. Like, but Rory's just like a malicious prick, taking advantage of Lydia, like some of her lowest moments. So. He and Dolores got. Yeah, he got money. He's like, I just wanted you to get rich, and now you got by a sandworm. You're wrecked. But also, I gotta get back to Bob. Like Bob.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. again.
R.I.P. because he double died. He was already dead.
Rest in peace.
He double died.
Rip and pepperoni. We hardly knew ye, Bob, except we knew ye. You were faithful and valuable employee. Some would say a friend. Not me, but someone. Not me, but someone. Man, that was great. So like I'll use
He kept it real.
He kept it real. Yeah. And, you know, who also kept it real was that one, like, was it Olga or whatever her name was, the secretary that kept coming in with news, the one who got the javelin in her throat. That was also a hilarious bit, but that's besides the point. Yeah, Peter's, you know, just it was a lot of fun. Like Zach, I think overall, like we're using you as sort of like the guidepost for someone just fresh into this kind of style of movie, of like, you know, going back to like Tim Burton really, you know, bringing in the goods. How would you think overall?
What I think overall the movie?
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty,
Inspired you to watch the
context
first
with
one?
no. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to try to get around watching it as soon as I can, especially now. But we got spooky season coming up. Might as well.
Good.
The time.
That's perfect time to watch.
Perfect timing. Yeah. Yeah, like maybe
September 25th today. So
I'll get you. Hopefully, like
days.
you'll watch like because that's technically his like second movie ever. His first
only
movie,
his second
Yeah.
movie.
Beetlejuice. The first one was his second.
No,
movie.
Beetlejuice is the
Yeah.
second movie ever.
No, we named like 7 movies.
Yeah. No, his first movie, his second movie. The first movie is also a classic. You have to watch it. And I mentioned it last week's episode or last time's episode was it was P.B. Herman's Big Adventure.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why randomly Paul Rubens would have shown up in a lot of like his other stuff. Like he's in like Batman Returns and yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is great. And it's like like it's eccentric. It's not too like it doesn't deal with anything. There's only one piece of thing that's technically considered supernatural, but I won't spoil it. But that scene is still one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen as a kid, just because it comes out of left field. But
In a Pee-wee Herman movie?
in a Pee-wee Herman movie, yes. So you'll get there when you get there. But overall, I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it and that you're inspired to go watch the original one. And Anthony,
I definitely had fun watching it, but it's definitely, at least for me, a step down from the first movie. Because I feel like, yes, they added these wacky, fun, and weird new characters, but there was like
A lot going on.
like 7 or something. 7 new characters with 5 different plot lines going on. So just like they could have easily just made it about Astrid and the kid, and then him taking her down, and then getting Beetlejuice to save her, and like could have been like a quick thing. And I think part of me while I was watching it, because after rewatching the first one, and you know how we were all kind of realizing like Beetlejuice is not really in it that much. He's kind of in it by like the halfway point of the first movie. And if you actually like look at just the total time
runtime
that he's in
Screen
it,
time,
like
yeah.
that Michael Caine's in it, he's like really not in it that much. So I
It
think
was like 17 minutes.
right,
or
and you know, obviously this is how many years later, 30-something years later. Michael Caine's a much bigger name, he's an Oscar winner. I'm sure they paid him a fat check for this movie to come back, and I'm sure he demanded, or at least his agents were like, hey, he needs to be in the movie more. So I think they baked it in the movie that like we can't just have him come up halfway through the movie, just like we did the other time. So I think that's why they added this whole side plot with his wife or ex-wife, which kind of they started from the beginning of the movie. So like kind of the first half of the movie is Beetlejuice not interacting with like the main characters, but he's in the movie and it's the whole side plot of his ex-wife and whatever. And then halfway, and then at the halfway point, that's when they call upon him, and it's like that's the real Beetlejuice moment. But he's been in the movie before that, and so I think it was probably just like he mandated by someone, either by studio or by actors or whoever, just to get him in the movie more, which is fine. But yeah, like as much as I like Monica Bellucci as an actress, I feel like she looked cool in the movie, but yeah, she was so underused because every time they show her, she'd walk around and suck someone's soul. Walk around, next scene, suck someone's soul. And then she spent like 4 scenes walking through that really cool, they used kind of like the same set of that crooked diagonal hallway.
Afterlife offices.
With all the like almost infinite doors. So she was lost in there because it's almost like
I find Beetlejuice, yeah.
But yeah, it was just like another scene of her walking through there and other people, and like Beetlejuice seeing her, he's like, oh shit. And then he like evades her like 3 times. It's like, so it's weird.
Yeah.
This is like it's weird because I would definitely give it a whatever kind of low score, but at the same time, I had fun watching it. So I would suggest people to watch it, but Yeah, it's not the first movie is classic, but yes, it still has that weird kookiness, just like the first one. The first one is very weird, and so is this one. So
So
if you liked all that vibe, then go
yeah,
watch
it continues the vibe for sure. So interesting enough, I have 2 points to show up. So it turns out it's roughly the same amount of screen time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
There's no way though.
It's roughly the same amount of screen time.
He's in a lot.
I had heard that before we even saw the movie that apparently that he wanted for
It to be the same.
Beetlejuice to be in the movie about the same time as the first time.
It felt like he was in a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, because we had like the Black Death flashback. We had the only time like there are snippets where like while she was recording the first episode, like Lydia was recording her TV show episode. He shows up for like a split second in the audience, and then like he also kind of sort of shows up at Astrid's school, which we didn't talk about. Friggin' Delia being embarrassing grandmother of the century.
Showing up and screaming.
Your pop has been taken from me, my poor Charles. I'm like, damn.
And it's her school.
Yeah, it's her school that she basically paid for it. Yeah, Catherine O'Hara, like again, just brilliant. Like she seems like an older version of the character from the 80s. Like this, like you know, kind of like not spaced out, but kind of like just really out from left field, like sculpture as an artist. And just you see like her sculptures from the first movie in the school grounds, and just its whole thing of just big Catherine O'Hara just killing it again as usual. But yes, the first point I was gonna mention is like the like the Beetlejuice being in the film for the same time, and then
That's
the second
surprising.
point is something that I have now forgotten. So
Well,
my thoughts also go
rethink
out
about
to
it.
I'll try to rethink about it, but I'm just gonna use this shout out once again. Public service announcement. Rip Bob. Again, poor guy. I just felt so bad for Bob.
But yeah, and I think another reason why, at least to me, that last scene, the music scene, felt so long is because that whole sequence had all the like 5 plot points come into the chapel or whatever.
Oh, that was my second point.
And it was just like
I have a diagram of all the different plot points. So there's the like Rory Lydia thing going on. You have you have Delia with trying to mourn the whole Charles thing. You have then Charles in the afterlife, which is another connection. Astrid Delia, Astrid Lydia subplot. Then Lydia, Jeremy. Then you have Beetlejuice Lydia, which also ties in Dolores, which then ties in Wolf Jackson. And then Charles is still like kind of, I think I mentioned Charles already, but Charles is kind of like dancer and all that. Then you have Richard kind of showing up towards the back end of the movie.
and that's on Earth.
No, that's that. I mentioned
and then
the stuff in
Beetlejuice
Afterlife,
and his ex-wife.
which I just said. Yeah, Beetlejuice and Dolores.
Oh, okay. I forgot her name was Dolores.
Dolores.
And then Astrid's dad, right? You mentioned that.
I mentioned that just
Okay,
now
okay.
too. Yeah, that stuff with Richard.
I'm forgetting their names. So
Yeah.
so I'm-
I just watching it again.
Yeah, it was.
I watched it with
I just felt
family.
like
the
it was
second
so
time.
much.
It
It's like
was fun.
and like as much. Of course, I love Willem Dafoe. Like Willem Dafoe didn't have to be in the movie. Like a lot of these people didn't have to be in it, but they were in it.
But there was so
He
much
was.
fun.
He was
There was so much fun, though.
I would rather him stay in it than Monica Bellucci. I guess is what I'm saying. Like you could have cut characters from this movie.
But then,
That's a valid
who would have
concern,
killed
because she,
Danny
like that.
DeVito?
it doesn't matter. But
Yeah,
she was.
that's a valid point. But at the same
Willem
time,
Dafoe was hilarious.
I feel like more was like at this point like it
Keep
didn't
it real.
it wasn't like it wasn't like I didn't feel it took away from anything by them just having there, because a lot of it's like from a visual standpoint, like these characters exist like just like in a visual like kind of thing going on.
I feel like if this
it just didn't take away from it. I just feel like it was a little stuffed. It was like convoluted. It's like, and so we're saying that this movie's an extra 20 minutes or so from the first one. It's like it probably could have been the same length as the first one if you remove one or two of these subplots. And that don't really need to be there.
I'm just surprised they fit all that in an hour and 45 minutes.
Right.
Because
But that's what I'm saying. I thought it was longer than that.
Yeah,
Because it
'cause
felt longer. Because it was a lot of.
if it would have been
moving
like
pieces.
2 hours or 2:20, I feel like that would have been pushing it with all these storylines. But
the effects were great. The sets,
Practical effects
practical and CGI in the mix. The sets, the makeup, like classic Tim Burton. Like his style is still there. the vibe is still there. So like, you get the nostalgia, you get kind of like the new version of it. It just story wise, I just felt like it was stuffed.
That's fair.
But it was fun. Like afterwards, we're all like, "Yeah, it was a fun time."
Like, man, I had fun.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Especially when
I still have fun. Yeah,
like some of these sequels or remakes, you
reboot
feel like,
quills.
It definitely wasn't like one of the better, at least to me, rebootquels or whatever, legacy sequels. If you want
but
to call
you could tell.
But it was
like,
still fun. Like the same people worked on it, and it was, you could tell that 80-90% of it was like the original film.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Close us out, Danny.
Do it. How did you like it?
How did you?
I actually liked it a lot.
Me too.
Especially since like I saw the first one, I think like
right before.
the day before.
Yeah.
Or
You had seen it before. You just rewatched it.
Yeah,
right?
I just rewatched it. And I think watching it back to back, it definitely helps. But no, I liked a lot of the new characters. Like there was a lot of side plots and like a lot of story, but I think all the characters definitely made up for it at the end. And then like obviously the music, the practical effects, I think it just called back to the first one. And I enjoyed it a lot. And it was very funny. I think we were all laughing throughout the whole movie.
Funnier than the first one, for sure.
Seeing Zach's reaction to like this movie without seeing the first one was pretty cool, and seeing him like guess certain things.
Dude, I remember my sister even going like, "Wait, you haven't seen the original one?" He's like, "Yeah, but this was great."
I wasn't born.
Like, whoa! Like he's like, "Well, good for you. There's more."
I wasn't born when the original came out.
I think having that part of the experience.
No, I wasn't. I'm not. I wasn't born in '86.
It came in '88.
Did it?
'88.
Okay, so I was.
We were one. Yeah, we were like 1 year old.
I couldn't say his name when I was that young.
Yeah, whatever.
How long did it take for you to actually say his name 3 times?
Oh, I don't.
I don't mess with that. No.
I like at some point.
I was too old when I watched it that like I was like, oh, I know it's a fake movie. So it wasn't like I was a 2-year-old going me like pointing at the screen
and looking
saying
at the mirror, like looking in the mirror and trying to bring up Beetlejuice.
Oh, look, he's saying his first words.
Imagine,
hey, how you doing? I love that part.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh my god, the baby.
He hasn't seen it.
Yes.
Oh my
One
god.
at the end,
That whole
credits.
end credit sequence was wild.
Weird.
Hey, I had the weirdest dream. She's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, great!" Like that was an interesting way to end it. Yeah. It's this whole let's go. Oh my god, yeah, that was wild. Poor Lydia. But yeah, I echo a lot of Danny's sentiments. Like being a fan of the first one, I really liked the second one. It was just overall a lot of fun, and like a lot of people seem to like it too. Like they're still going out to the theater to watch it. Surprisingly enough.
What was the reasoning that Astrid gave for whatever contract that Beetlejuice had with her mom, with Lydia?
It being
that,
null and void.
it doesn't work. It's like, well, where did that come from?
It doesn't work because
because the writer said so.
They wrote it in somewhere to the book that
script.
You can't bring dead people living people into the afterlife. The worst part was because in part 1 the whole thing was just like, hey, you can't have the living know that the afterlife exists. Now it was even worse of just like anything that you're doing from this kind of stuff gets null and void when you like break a core rule of that. And apparently that's a core rule. So again, more world building, but sure, it worked.
I think
for being although convenient, I guess it works.
I feel like they have to do a third one.
Like you have to
just to
you
complete
need to complete the name.
Yeah.
I mean, if it makes money, I know they'll do it.
I think it made enough money for them to say like, yeah, I think it's popular.
Yeah. That'll be an interesting kind of like, whatever. I'm not gonna speculate to what it could be, but
we'll wait another.
No,
I don't know how many years.
Don't say 34 years or something.
No,
like that.
it'll probably
36
be,
years.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do it in like 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, get that money going. Get on it, Warner Brothers. No, I'm kidding. So, that's our recap of Beetlejuice. No, I'm not saying it like a third time. If you also enjoyed the movie, definitely give us a comment, give a little what your thoughts were. If you had just recently maybe seen the first one and you're like, man, this second one is, like you had thoughts, we'd love to hear it too. Really exciting and a lot of fun talking about it. I had a lot of just overall having seen it now twice. It's fun movie. I liked it a lot. But next time, we're gonna take it, another new movie, but talking about something that also came from the 80s. Next time we'll be talking about recently released Transformers 1, which, I'm excited to talk about as somebody who grew up watching reruns of the original Transformers. Anthony and I were like all about Beast Wars and some of the other stuff too. It'd be nice to see and hear what Danny and Zach think about Transformers, seeing it from an animated standpoint instead of just the Michael Bay-verse or whatever we want to call that. But until next time, everybody, we look forward to talking about that. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe on whatever platform of choice that you are listening to us. And until next time, don't let the juice be loose.